This is Shy,
And this is Megan,
and this is the Magical Happy Hour.
a podcast where we share our love for Disney and theme parks, travel tips, food.
And anything else we feel like talking about.
It's episode 15, and we teased this episode a little bit, but why don't you tell us about it?
So, this episode, we are going to be talking about old DCA, what it was like on opening day, the opening day attractions, and do a little comparison of what it's like now.
Yes, we are two people that were born before DCA was added to the parks, but we were both pretty young. So we've definitely seen it from its infancy to what it's become today. And it's been quite the transformation over the past 23 years.
Absolutely. I have a question for you. Did
Okay.
you go to Disneyland ever before DCA was opened?
Yeah, but I was 3.
You were 3. Okay. Because I haven't.
Oh, so you
I
after
only
4
know
years
it.
old?
Yeah, so I was 6, my first trip to Disneyland. It
Okay.
was for my 6th birthday.
Oh, cute. I went for my 3rd birthday, but I mean, I don't remember it. I just have
Yeah.
pictures. I think my first actual memories in Disneyland, DCA existed.
Okay.
Because I remember, yeah, I remember like sitting in the letters, you know?
Yes, yeah. I remember that too.
Do you know when they got rid of those? Just to kick us off, since we're right at the front there, before we completely dive into the topic, but
I don't know the year exactly. I want to say around 2010, if I had to guess. No, I think it was 2014. I'm going to look it up right now.
and for anybody that doesn't know these letters, the letters that we're talking about, I'm sure we'll post a picture, but um, outside of California Adventure's main entrance, between facing Disneyland, there were giant letters spelling out California that people would pose with and take pictures. And if you visited the park when they were there, I'm sure that you and your family have pictures in front of it. And they were gifted or donated
Donated.
to donated, okay, to Friends of the State Fair. I'm pretty sure is what the nonprofit is called.
Yeah.
So it is outside the main entrance of Cal Expo in Sacramento.
Yeah, which is really cool. And okay, so I just looked it up and I should have stuck with my first guess because that was closer. So they removed the letters in 2011.
Oh, okay. You were pretty much spot on, right between you said you said
2010 and
2010 first.
2014.
And just before we move on to news, before we revisit DC as a topic, brag, I used to live across the street from where the California letters are.
Yes, she did.
Like Shy might as well have lived there too. That's okay.
However, I've never gone to see them.
You don't need to. It's not the same. I literally saw them, did not even register in my brain that they're the same. Uh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I lived there for like a year before I even knew that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't put it together. I didn't think about it. I
Yeah,
hadn't seen them since I was like 6.
yeah. Funny.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So news. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so they just announced that Luisa and Isabella from Encanto are going to be joining Mirabel or joining her for the meet and greet in Plaza del Zocalo, which is right by Big Thunder Mountain and the Rancho del Zocalo restaurant in Disneyland.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. I checked the app before we gathered to start recording. I didn't realize that there are quite a few locations that the Disney app doesn't list as character meet and greet spots that typically are at certain times of day.
Hmm.
And this is one of them. So it
Is it
doesn't say,
really?
yeah, it's not even listed. And I mean, they're constantly, even if it's not Mirabelle, sometimes they have Miguel there.
Yeah.
And now they have Isabella and Luisa. And you would think that with them advertising it all, that they would have that included and maybe some other places as well, but it's super limited. I was very surprised. It's really limited to um where do you walk? Like what's the first, like the hub? No, not even the hub. Like just the first area that you walk in, like as soon as you walk in the park where you often see Mickey and his friends greeting people all throughout that plaza. They have that location marked. They have the Princess Royal Hall, and these are, I'm just naming stuff off the top of my head. I think Shai's doing us some actual research. But I was surprised. I was surprised it was so limited.
Yeah, that's really surprising to me. I guess I definitely don't use the app for that, for finding character meet and greets, so I never would have known if you hadn't told me that.
Yeah, it's honestly only something I thought of because it's something that I've done when I've been at the park by myself. If I have some time to kill, I'll be like, hey, is there any, what characters are listed in the app and their times and all of that? I think what you do is correct also, and just trying to, mosey around the park, doing your own thing and meeting characters spontaneously is something that certainly happens. So it's not like it's something you have to check, but I would think for locations like that are pretty much designated and listed and advertised as having the characters there, people are going to want to know those times. But
Yeah.
I digress. I don't make the app. I don't know.
On our next piece of news, there are new scenes in Star Tours. You want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that much Star Wars knowledge. I'm not caught up with all the different series. However, these new scenes were advertised as including Ahsoka, which I think is a huge selling point for some of us that really enjoy this character, like I do. Of course, she has like a very small part in the ride, but the little cameo is exciting. And I feel like the scenes that they show are really fun. Get to see some, I don't know what they're called in the movies, but like the sky whales. And I don't want to spoil anything.
Yes.
Is that not what they are?
I have absolutely no idea. I know nothing about Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know. I was very pleasantly surprised. I feel like we've all that frequent the park, especially in the recent years, are used to having these new scenes introduced to Star Tours pretty often, at least since Disney Plus and all these, then what are they called? The new trilogy and then the Disney Plus series and whatever else they got going on,
Uh-huh.
Star Wars. Star Wars is real active right now. Um,
Yes.
but you know, I haven't really thought that much of them. We just kind of take the changes as they come and enjoy it if you can. But this one specifically, I told Shai before we got on it, I was like, do you know anything about it? She kind of expressed the same thing that she did now. Like, I don't keep up with Star Wars, whatever. I'm like, okay, I want to know how you feel. Didn't tell her how I felt, didn't say anything. So when we got off, she's like, you didn't like that? I was like, no, 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 no. I loved it actually. I don't know what about it. I don't know. Maybe you have a more insightful opinion, but if you often skip Star Tours, this is the time to go back on it. Try it again.
Yeah, give it a shot. I really enjoy Star Tours always. I'm always down to ride it. It's the queue for the most part, you're inside and
That
it's
AC be blasting.
very well air conditioned and I like the inside of the queue. I really enjoy it altogether, and even someone that, like I said, knows nothing about Star Wars, I loved this. I thought it was so cool, the experience that we had. I was just the way you said it, I was like, "Oh, I thought it was gonna be bad." And
Hmm.
then
Sorry.
we watched it and I was like, "What? Like this is so cool." And there was like audible gasps in the room like during the time. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool. How does she not think this is so cool?" And then you told me you totally did. And I was like, "Oh, okay, great." So she surprised me a little bit and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. Obviously, if you're sensitive to
Mm,
like 3D
motion.
glasses and motion sickness and you like that's why you skip Star Tours, then nothing in that aspect has changed. But if you skip it because you're like, I've done this a million times, like, whatever, let's do something else, definitely try to plan it into your next vacation because It's really cool.
I'm glad that you're along the ride with me. I was like, maybe she won't care. Maybe I'm overreacting. But I had ridden it the week before with my friend's husband, and we both kind of looked at each other at the end and we were like, was that really cool? It was really cool. So I was happy to be able to share that with Shy as well.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the sky whales. That's what
I
they're
gotta
called.
I gotta see if they got a real name or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's okay. Last thing in news, not not really Disney specific news, but just a reminder and a warning if you are going to be, especially outside at Disneyland all day, it is hot out there. It is extremely hot in Southern California right now. I know other parts of the country, I know Northern California had wild heat waves at the beginning of the summer. It seems like we're getting hit right now with it all. Right today, we're recording on Wednesday, September 4th, and the temperatures are listed to be in the hundreds past through the weekend, and then they're remaining high. So please just keep yourself safe, plan to take breaks throughout the day, stay hydrated, wear a hat, and remember sunscreen.
Yes, absolutely. Megan and I have both witnessed people passing out in the parks from heat exhaustion and dehydration. So please, please, please remember to hydrate. It's super important. Bring your sunscreen with you. I know that there are some locations that don't allow like aerosol cans for sunscreen, but Disney definitely does. You can bring whatever form of sunscreen that you have. They'll let you bring it in. It doesn't have to be under a certain like amount of fluids or anything like that. And remember to reapply if you have to set a timer or whatever you need to do because you don't want to get sunburned on your vacation. That especially at the beginning of your vacation and then having to walk around in more heat while you're burnt. We have been there and it's not fun. So take care of yourselves and just wanted to say it's real hot up here in Northern California too. Our high was 102 today, and it's not cooling down anytime soon. So,
Oof.
California. Okay, so moving into the bulk of our episode, we're talking about California Adventure. It opened in 2001 along with Downtown Disney. They had 22 rides and there were shows and attractions. I watched a news video. I'll be sure to list it in the note descriptions. I'll put a link to it. And they were actually, it was a San Diego news station. They were there on opening day and they had a little bit to talk about. And something that I noticed was that there was so much more live entertainment. There were like bands, there were areas for people to dance, and there was definitely a lot more of that there, which I really miss. And they also mentioned a few celebrities that were there on opening day. One, of course, being Whoopi Goldberg. And then we had John Stamos, Andy Garcia, and even George Lucas was there on opening day
Mm,
for California Adventure. So that I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, definitely. Also, if anyone should have been invited, it's Whoopi. She's in two of
Yes.
their. I mean, there's only 20 things without her in it out of the
Yeah.
22.
Yeah. And now she's not there at all, which is unfortunate.
I know. We'll talk about where specifically you could have found her in the park.
Yeah. I wonder if she was sad about that.
I do often wonder celebrities' opinions of like when they were in attractions.
Yeah.
I've heard Ellen talk about it because she was a part of Ellen's Energy Adventure in I think Epcot. I don't know. She had like the skin of her animatronic on her on her show. The skin of it sounds gross. And honestly, it kind of looked gross, but you can definitely find that clip on YouTube. I think that's the only celebrity though I've like heard talk about how they're conveyed in rides.
Yeah, that's uh, I was just like, I know you'll talk about this, but I know Superstar Limo it didn't last very long. It closed pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So, and there were a lot of celebrities in that one, but I was like thinking about um the other attraction, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that she was in, specifically that she was hosting. I was like, oh man, I'm really happy they changed it because I love what it is now. But I was like, man, that must have sucked for her. Like they took out both of the things that she was in.
I know. Maybe she was over it. But I don't there is like a
No
depiction.
way. There's no way she was over it.
I don't know. Do we
I'd be
know if
like,
she's a
don't
big
you
Disney
dare
fan?
take me out of there.
I made this park, actually. You put me in two attractions. Clearly, I'm important. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Whoopi, if you're listening, let us know.
Let us know. Did you say I don't know if she was a big Disney fan?
I don't know.
Oh, she is.
Oh, really?
Oh, she is.
Shut up. Wait.
She loves Disney.
Okay,
She's a
that's sad
huge Disney
then.
person.
Oh no.
So I'm like, that's like if we got our own thing there, you
Oh
better not ever take us out.
no, I'm chaining myself to the ride or the thing, whatever it is. The
I
statue.
Yes,
The
I
statue
will.
of us.
I will be there. A statue of us. That would be insane. Not opposed to it though.
I don't think I want to see how I'm conveyed in a statue. Sorry, we went so sideways.
It's fine.
Okay, before we before we get too far, Shy and I were talking a little bit before about like our feelings, I guess, about it, because I know Shy like really likes one part of the park that she'll get to, how it was before, and I disagree. Whereas the entrance, that squished little Golden Gate Bridge, is literally so funny to me. But also, I kind of love it. Like, I like that it's like framing the fact that because the monorail track.
Yeah,
Yeah. And now, like, that's not something that's like missing now.
yeah,
This goes back to, I think, my feelings about how the park doesn't have something where you can go around the perimeter on it, you know?
yeah. No, I
Like,
totally agree. I miss that. I miss that as well.
there's no like transportation in this park. They're even getting rid of the trolley now, so now there's not even that.
Yeah,
Bummer.
it is a bummer.
But I digress. Speaking of the entrance of the park, though, as you entered, there was no Buena Vista Street. Instead, we entered Sunshine Plaza.
Hmm.
They were a little confused when opening this park about what the icon was truly going to be.
Yeah,
And for those of you that don't know, I don't know, like it's a thing with Disney, an icon for the parks. Like you see it on branding, you see it on t-shirt, or I guess that's branding. You see people take a picture in front of it, you know. I would say now
yeah,
that the icon would be the Ferris wheel, right?
yeah. I would say the icon would be the Ferris wheel now, just like in Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, the castle is the icon.
Hmm.
In Epcot, the uh,
Like
what is it
Epcot Ball.
called? Yeah, it's like the space something. That's their icon. The Tree of Life is the icon of Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. So they were definitely real lost in this concept, starting off, because they made it a sun that was supposed to reflect sunshine off of it, but they ended up having to install reflectors to then make the sunshine off of it, which I think then also caused issues because this is California with very strong sunlight, as we just mentioned,
It's
with
already very bright.
burning very bright. So like blinding people essentially,
Oh
not
my gosh,
literally, but with how much sun is being directed on these reflective surfaces in the middle of this plaza.
wild.
It's too much. They didn't have very many attractions in this area. They had a couple shops, a couple food spots, and then we'll move on over to the Hollywood Pictures backlot.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for this.
So much of this area at least aesthetically, has remained unchanged since the inception of the park. Okay, so as you turn to the left out of Sunshine Plaza, you go to walk down Hollywood Boulevard into the Hollywood Pictures backlot. So you walk through this grand entrance. They have like this big old Hollywood Pictures backlot sign, and there's like two pillars, like these elephant structures on the side also. I think now there's usually like a popcorn cart that's on the
Yeah.
left-hand side as you enter.
Yeah.
um, but to get into the different attractions in this area, I wanted to start with the Disney Animation Building,
Mhm.
for their lack of a better name for it, it seems like. This still exists today, just seems a little bit different inside. They have a few different features, a few things that have come and gone throughout the years. On opening day, they had the animation screening room, so just somewhere where you could see clips from Disney movies. And then they had Drawn to Animation, which was the show that Animation Academy would later replace. And something that I found very interesting was that, excuse me, sorry, I'm like flipping between notes, so I'm like a little scattered. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
So, something that I thought was interesting that was part of the Drawn to Animation show is just kind of like a little bit of a fun fact. And so I'm sure it still exists now that even though the show has changed to the Animation Academy, but the door on stage that leads backstage, there's a space that you enter, which none of us will probably ever get to see, but cast members get the pleasure of seeing. But that space is covered in drawings that's been done by the artists over the years.
Cool.
I thought that was very nice. I'm
That
like,
is
oh, I'd
cool.
love to get a peek in there to see who's likes to tack up their stuff, who's a little bit more uh, reserved. They're not like trying to feature themselves. I'm curious if they just have one for everybody. I just thought that was kind of cute.
That is cute.
Then they had the sorcerer, or they have still to this day, the sorcerer's workshop, which I think we've talked about in a past episode, but they have little tools in there where you're able to make your own animated drawings
Mhm.
by putting them in like little turnstiles that
Yeah.
flip through your or the illusion of a moving image.
Yeah.
And then they had the art of animation as well, which I believe is that main space that you walk into, that they have all the different screens featuring different parts of the movies and the production that was involved in making them.
Mhm.
So yeah, the Disney animation, it started off pretty small and not that much going on inside. And I think if you go in there today, there's lots to do, lots to see.
Yeah, I really love that building.
Okay, so making our way out of Disney animation, right across the way there is Muppet Vision.
Hmm.
We've talked about Mickey's Fill Magic and how much I enjoy that in the past, but Muppet Vision, now that's a whole other treat of a show. And we've already talked about the potential tragedy of it in Hollywood studios in Florida. So we're hoping we can hold on to that one since it no longer exists in DCA.
Mhm.
But from what I saw, the Muppets added a lot of charm to that area of the park. So they're sorely missed, unfortunately.
Did you see that show when it was here?
I don't think so. I don't think it was something I saw until the first time I went to Disney World.
Okay. I feel like I may have seen it maybe once.
I'm pretty sure the first time I ever went into that building was during Pixar Fest in, oh God, that must have been 2017, 2018. Yeah. And they were showing Pixar shorts there, as well as the Tomorrowland Theater right next to Space Mountain.
So, Mickey's PhilharMagic or
Mm,
Muppets?
okay, okay. That's so hard.
You have to pick.
Okay. So I would pick Muppets because it was one of the last projects that Jim Henson ever worked on.
Oh, okay.
So that's very special. That's very special. And the Muppets are so special and they're so perfect for that area. Like Mickey's PhilharMagic is in the middle of Fantasyland in Disney World.
Yeah, that's true.
So it could potentially go anywhere. Whereas the Muppets would fit in perfectly. And this isn't going to be the last time that I talk about the Muppets because they fit so well in this area of the park. Missed opportunity. But this is also why it needs to be held on to in Hollywood studios in Florida, is because
Definitely.
one of the last things that he worked on that's very precious and special. Can you hear that? No? Okay, that's good.
With the crickets.
Okay, crickets, dude. So I'm just kind of moving throughout a whole counterclockwise circle throughout the Hollywood backlot area here. So our next stop would be the infamous Superstar Limo. Shai, how much do you know about this ride?
I know that. Okay, so I know that it is what is now Monsters Inc. I know that you could see some celebrities there, and it wasn't a super popular attraction. That's all I
It
know.
wasn't super popular is like an understatement. I watched somebody's home footage from August of, what did I say? August of 2001. So the first year it was open. In the video, the person says, like, oh, I'm a local, blah, blah, blah. I looked at their channel afterwards and it looks like they're a big coaster person.
Hmm.
But while in line, one of them was like, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Just like straight into the camera. I was like, oh my gosh, he's having a lot of big feelings about this goofy thrown together ride. Like it is pretty bad. But there's so much silly weird charm, but I don't know, man. I have a lot. I have some things to say.
Okay.
And this is I've never read it. I've never ridden it myself, unfortunately. I think I would I don't know what I would have thought of as a kid, but I would have liked to ride it now, you know?
Yeah, I would definitely like to write it now just to like experience it.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean,
But
it's
don't
real
take away
kooky.
Monsters Inc.
No, like I think Monsters Inc. is better. But
That's
and
an
that's saying a lot
understatement.
because Monsters Inc. isn't that great, but it's good. It's good. I like it.
It's cute.
Something I did want to ask you at the end though is if there's any celebrities that you think would have been better fits for this ride. I have my own little list.
Okay, you have to tell me the celebrities that are in the ride.
Oh, I will. I'm gonna
Oh,
walk
okay.
you. Oh, I'm gonna walk us through it
Okay.
because I don't know if I'll ever get to talk about this again. And when I tell you, I was driving myself a little bit crazy with the amount of walkthroughs I was watching and how closely, like, I was like analyzing this stuff because this ride is packed with scenes. It is packed with things going on. And since I've never ridden it, I don't know what is happening. And it seems so loud. Like this had to have been a super loud ride. It seems like the audio is overlapping in certain parts. Again, this is all like just footage I'm watching from other people or from promotional material, but let's get into it. So the premise of the ride is that you have an agent in there like telling you to rush to from LAX to the Chinese theater in LA. So that's the theater that's depicted in Hollywood Studios that used to house the Great Movie Ride and is now Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. The queue looks pretty much exactly the same as Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. pretty much just gave like the posters that are in there and some other props a fresh coat of paint, made it look more like Monstropolis and less like a airport terminal.
Hmm.
But you see Joan Rivers featured on some of the TV displays as a puppet in the queue. So she's doing some reporting. Once you load onto the ride, you have your agent, Swifty, urging you to meet him at the Chinese theater. But I was confused because it seems like, and we'll get to it once we get to the end, but I don't think you ever go to the theater, at least not what I could see in the ride. There's a lot of like little screwy things like that. I I fully am like, this scene is supposed to be here. why does it have this? And I'm going to talk more about it. So first thing you get on the ride, you're going through very much you go down like that same hallway that you do in Monsters Inc. Initially, where it kind of looks like just like a long, it's an illusion hallway. Regis is on Rodeo Drive, like waving to you in Beverly Hills. Then you pass Melanie Griffith with Antonio Banderas. Then you see like Cindy Crawford, and then Tim Allen is on the Sunset Strip doing a little stand-up routine.
What?
You see Jackie Chan doing like I think he's holding on to a rope. Like it looks like he's maybe mid stunt because he's also kicking. Um, but then you're in like a UFO zone. Like it kind of sounds like there's like alien music and almost looks like you get abducted. Like maybe I missed something on the way. I told you it's real wild and kooky. Uh, but it like yeah, the sound effects make it seem that way. But then it says that you open up into a new room and it says that you're in Bel Air, but it looks like cartoon like Egypt. Like it doesn't look like it doesn't look like Bel Air. Like if anyone's been to Bel Air, like it is
Pretty
rich.
nice. Yeah.
It is rich like mansions. I don't get it. I don't know if I'm like missing a reference to something because again, this is 2001 and was probably planned by people in 99 in reality.
Yeah.
Then you have Drew Carey in that same scene. We all know how much I love Drew Carey, but he has some maps and he's standing in front of something that looks like it could be like Indiana Jones, like a temple ride. I don't know. When I tell you, I tried to figure out what these things were and what the meanings were behind them. But then you pass like a fountain with a statue of a genie. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe this is like a nod to Robin Williams because of whatever reason they couldn't have him in the ride or something. He was involved with so many different Disney properties. I would think that would be appropriate, but maybe he was somebody that was like, don't make me a little robotic guy. I don't know. Um, then you're like underwater all of a
What?
sudden. Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems like this is when it says, "Oh yeah, this says like welcome to Malibu," but I don't know if you're like jumping out of the water or jumping into you're underwater. And then like fans and like sponsors like pop up, like these people are like jumping out of like a behind and more and more of that starts happening in the ride. People are jumping out at you, being like, pose for a picture, represent Coca-Cola, blah blah blah. Yeah. So like I said, it says you're in Malibu, but then it shows Muscle Beach, which is definitely in Venice Beach. So I'm pretty sure I've been to both, and I've been to Muscle Beach in Venice. And having been to Malibu, I can't imagine Malibu would be ever okay with having that there. Having Muscle Beach there, so I'm like, okay, I don't know. Also, do you know how far Malibu is from LAX or the theater that they're supposed to be going to?
They did not care.
They truly did not care. Also, not to mention Venice is also not in line with those things, but it is closer to LAX. But as you're in this area, there's a reference to Madame Leota because there's someone reciting like an incantation, but I think it's supposed to be like almost like a Zoltar machine,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
And it's not one of Madame Leota's phrases, but it's done in that kind of like tone of voice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like give me a sign that the green light is on. I think that it says something to that effect. But then you see Cher, icon Cher. After we pass beautiful Cher, we enter Superstar Studios to a bunch of like wild. It seems like mock sets. Like you're entering the studio itself, and people are actively filming things. And it's announced that you're the star of your own movie, and you're placed in front of a marquee sign saying like premiere tonight. And then we see Whoopi.
Yay,
Shout out.
Whoopi!
Then it honestly looks like you're in like a mall or something before you reach the boarding station. So, like I said, you get to a theater, some sort of theater, but I don't remember there being anything prominent like showing that you arrived where you were tasked to arrive. So that was interesting. Unless that's like, unless Whoopi is standing in front of it, but even then, it's not prominent. It's like behind her. Like we arrived to Whoopi, which is okay with me. And the only kind of like giveaway that it might be that theater is that they have like the handprints depicted in front of it,
Oh, okay.
which is where they are. But then you pull up at the station and you get out. So that is
Sounds
my little.
terrible.
It sounds terrible. It doesn't sound great. Like it sounds like most of us could put together something that would make a little bit more sense. So I'm incredibly curious where any of this came from and why.
Yeah,
And
my 8-year-old niece could put together something better than this.
I bet that they did try to, make some amendments and like correct themselves. First, with almost making a Goofy's superstar limo.
Oh
So
gosh.
that would be like, I guess, a similar concept. Honestly, it sounds like superstar limo squished with runaway railway.
Yeah, weird. Okay.
Yeah, don't like that. But then they proposed that they would slowly introduce Muppet characters until I guess they got to the point where it would just become Miss Piggy's Superstar Limo, which sounds weird to do it gradually. Like if there was like, before we completely change it over, we're gonna do this for amount of time.
Yeah, no, this
Because
doesn't make any sense. That's
no,
stupid.
like the Muppets would kind of be like poking fun at things, which sounds great, but
This just seems like a hot mess.
it was a mess. I think that's why they just totally scrapped it, and we got Monsters Inc. now.
Yay!
I enjoy Monsters Inc., so I will take it. Even
Yeah,
though I wouldn't have mind writing this. Seen it for myself.
yeah,
Maybe it would have made a little bit more sense.
maybe.
But I mentioned celebrities. Did any come to mind that you thought would make more sense here,
Oh, we
or maybe
gotta.
not at all?
Oh, we gotta throw in Cardi B.
Oh no, girl. Oh, okay, well, I meant for the time, but okay, sure.
How am I supposed to pick celebrities from the time that I was like 4?
I don't know, but that's a good point. I didn't think about that until you said Cardi B, and then I was like, no. And well,
She would be perfect. No, okay. I'm answering this question as who I'm putting in this ride. And I'm
okay,
putting
hey.
in Cardi B. I'm putting in Taylor Swift because when you said the Swifty agent, I was like, okay, she belongs in here clearly. I'm putting in, we gotta put in like Steph Curry. He's a celebrity.
But he's not like going to a movie premiere.
He totally could.
I mean, he physically could, but I don't think there's no other athletes in this ride.
There's not?
No.
Well, in my ride, I'm putting in Steph Curry.
You're like, shut up, it's my ride. I'm interested. No, I'm intrigued. I want to see who pops out of your brain. Continue on. That's like, yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
I want Miley Cyrus.
I think that would be super appropriate.
Yeah. And the only other person coming to mind right now is Beyonce. I want to see Beyonce.
Okay, so it sounds like your superstar limo would be filled with like singers and performers in that way, which is
Yes.
fun. I like the modern spin. The little list of celebrities I put together, I tried to like stay of the time and like look at Disney movies that were coming out around then or like Disney associated movies. So my celebrity proposals were Dennis Quaid, Sarah Jessica Parker, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, Eddie Murphy and Chris Tucker.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you were about the movies in the early 2000s, late 90s, I feel like these are the people that you're used to seeing. But we'll move on because we've given Superstar Limo its time in the spotlight for sure.
See, you had the benefit of getting to look up Disney movies that were released at that time.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like,
You're
yeah,
like,
no,
why are
you're
you not talking about people from this time? I'm like, what?
right. You're like, I was four. No, I like your perspective too. I liked hearing what you think who would be included during now.
Yes.
And those were
Okay,
beautifully
what is
crafted sentences I just said. Okay.
what?
So Hyperion Theater,
Yes. Ah,
continuing through that loop. How often have you been to the Hyperion?
um, the only show I've ever seen there was Frozen once.
Okay, same.
Sad.
Well, hopefully we got some good ones cooking in the future. I'd like to see that Rogers
Yeah,
musical.
me too.
Yeah, I hope they bring that back at some point.
So what started
But
there?
what started there? It's called Steps in Time. So it sounds like a Mary Poppins reference, kind
I
of.
was literally about to say, doing it in my head.
You're like, delay, delay.
Yes.
But no, that's actually not. I believe that song was featured somewhere in the performance itself, but just to cover kind of like the basics of what it was about, was a fairy godmother comes to a boy, basically to tell him about the importance of wishes. And there are more like plot beats, but it included a bunch of musical numbers like A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, I Want to Be Like You, A Whole New World, and others. I thought it was funny because some of the things I read, which after hearing it, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of strange. People found the inclusion of A Whole New World uncomfortable because it's a child and adult singing it to each other, because like the godmother's an adult and the protagonist is a child, and it's a love song. So I don't know how it was framed in the musical, but or in the performance, but that was just the point that I thought was kind of funny and interesting. But this performance, Steps in Time, opened with the park and was very short-lived. It closed on October 14th of 2001.
Mm.
It did have a predecessor, so something that the one that followed it up was The Power of Blast, which was based on a
These
shortened version.
names.
Yeah, right. I'm like, wow, that is Y2K.
Yes.
Y2K for The Power of Blast. It was based on a already existing Broadway play called Blast, and this same show could have been found in Epcot around that time. So if maybe you're not a West Coast Disney goer, maybe you caught it over there. But it also didn't last very long, and then was followed up by Aladdin, which is like my most prominent memory of seeing advertised on the Hyperion marquee when I was a kid.
But you never saw the show.
No, I only saw the beginning part of Frozen because something happened and we had to leave. So, not something happened with us, something happened with the show itself.
That's so interesting. I wonder what it was that would make the show stop.
And it seemed just like some technical difficulty, like
Yeah.
maybe they were having a sound issue or a lighting issue. I just remember, I think it was like Olaf was like on stage for like a prolonged period of time and we kind of didn't know why. And then they were like, everyone leave. We were like, all right, guess we gotta go.
Man.
And I never went back. Okay, so that pretty much sums up most of the attractions in the Hollywood Pictures backlot. I just wanted to do a little honorable mention to two like restaurants or food service places that I thought were really interesting and fun that they conceptualized and opened with this park. But those being the ABC, what is it called? Sorry. The ABC Soap Opera Bistro and Hollywood and Dine. So Hollywood and Dine, I'll start with that one. It was a quick service restaurant located in the backlot area. So now it just looks like that big sound stage that's right past the, what is that? I know I ask this every time. What is that like bar food area that's right in the corner there?
A Hollywood Lounge?
The Hollywood Lounge. Yeah. So it's like right behind what is now the Hollywood Lounge. And it featured four different counter service restaurants, all themed to iconic places in LA. So they had one called Don the Beachcomber. They had the Wilshire Bowl, the Villa Capri, and Schwab's Pharmacy. And if you want to read more about that, we'll add in the description a link to the Disney fandom and you can see all the information on there. I just thought that was kind of a fun concept. About I'm kind of an LA nerd. And then the soap opera bistro, which is kind of a ridiculous concept to think about now, but also something that I would go to. And I know nothing about soap operas, but so it was a supposed to be an immersive restaurant experience where you were like entering the set of all these ABC soap operas that were showing at the time. And then they had different set dressings in different areas. So they have the nurses station from General Hospital, Luke's nightclub from General Hospital, Kelly's diner from General Hospital, Chandler, the Chandler Mansion from All My Children, and Landview Country Club from One Life to Live. What any of these places are, I could not tell you, but there was some fun promotional footage that I was able to watch from people walking around this restaurant. And it's pretty hilarious to see like a gazebo or a nurse's station where you're eating. But that also
Yeah,
sounds
that's
pretty fun.
so weird, but it does sound like I'm just thinking of like photo ops there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the opportunities, the missed opportunities now.
Yes.
And that was what is now the Disney Junior Dance Party.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So that building has been a few different things and at one point was this restaurant.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that's kind of our full circle loop of the Hollywood backlot because there was only pretty much one way to get in and out of this land. It did not loop around like it does now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there was, yeah, that wasn't always an opening.
Yeah, we had some major like hard stops in this land, or not this land, this whole theme park.
Park. Yeah.
Hmm. All right, and now we're going to be moving up to the Golden State, which is broken up into several different sections within the land itself.
Yeah, so I looked at a map of DCA from 2001 and just kind of went down the list of the attractions that they had posted. So the first one was Bountiful Valley Farm, and I was trying to find like a walkthrough of it or something, and there wasn't much, but it was basically just a walkthrough where you could learn about agriculture.
Yeah, I saw a teeny bit of footage, and it seems like there isn't a lot because it was probably boring.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of I go to the Orange County Fair every year, and they have this big like walkthrough of just a garden. And from
Yeah.
the little footage I saw, it literally looks like that.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the same vibe. And then I learned about Golden Dreams. So this is where Ariel's undersea adventure is now. But this was a film that was hosted by the one and only Whoopi Goldberg. And she was talking about California's history, basically. Do you have any memories of this? Did you ever see this?
I don't think I ever saw the show, or if I did, I didn't. Or is it a show or is it more of a film?
I have it listed as a film.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any memory of going in there, but I do remember when it wasn't Ariel and they were advertising this show on the outside of that building.
Okay.
But that's really as far as my memories go.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't have any memories of this at all. I remember when they were building aerials that I couldn't think of what was there like at the time. So I know I don't have any memories of this, but when I watched a snippet of it, it kind of gave me mummy vibes.
Oh, because of like the lit up kind of like statue looking thing on
Yeah.
the outside. Yeah, I was thinking that too, but instead of scary, it looks like elegant.
Yes, exactly. And then the last or the second to last one that I have for Golden State is the Golden Vine Winery, which you can still experience today. You can go in and do some wine tastings. We've never done that, and I'm not sure how to do that, and it's something I want to learn how to do.
You can like go in and do like a an instructed wine tasting.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I remember seeing the vineyard as a kid and being like, oh, great, more wine. Because my
Yeah.
family were wine people. And so I feel like I grew up near vineyards. I'm like, great, more adult crap.
Or actually, I don't know if you can still do the wine tastings, but I know that they still have the sign.
Oh, well, then maybe. I don't know. Something we'll add to our list of things to look into, right?
Yes. And then lastly, we have Grizzly River Run, where if you want to go backwards down a waterfall, you can.
Backwards spinning.
Backwards spinning down a waterfall, you can.
I do sometimes. I do right now because of how hot it is.
Yeah. We've done it more in the last few years than we ever have.
That is super true. We've been doing it like every time we go
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
I just want to hung out back there.
It's just so nice.
It is pretty nice. I love that atmosphere.
Me too.
So to return to the Bountiful Farms area, this is where Tough to Be a Bug was located before Bugsland was constructed and really completed the land and kicked out Bountiful Farms. So I think a lot of us are definitely familiar with Tough to Be a Bug because of it being on the West Coast and the East Coast, having it be located in the Tree of Life in Animal Kingdom. But just to talk about it a little bit, it's a 3D film based on the 1998 Pixar film A Bug's Life. In addition to the film, this show featured animatronic characters and external effects that align with the things happening in the show. So some of those extra effects include like water sprayers, which is simulated acid from a flea, a wind cannon where like an acorn weevil is shooting acorns out at you, a stinky smell from a stink bug, and then there are like effects within the seats as well. So at one point, like hornets are stinging the audience, and you get like pokes in your back. Not like stinging pokes, but pokes nonetheless. Some people didn't enjoy these effects because they can be like uncomfortable or off putting. Some people are just off put by bugs in general. The seats itself freaked me out as a kid, but I really liked the show, especially because I was super obsessed with Bugs Life. And then when it was announced that Bugs Land would be closing, of course, like the show went with it, unfortunately, in California. And then now, just recently, we sadly got the news that it will also be leaving Animal Kingdom and be replaced by a Zootopia show.
Big sad.
Big sad. Yeah. Happy that we got to see it when we were there, though.
Yeah, me too. And I really like Zootopia, and I'm excited for them to do something with that. And I think it'll be a good fit for that area.
Yeah, it should be. Hopefully. I'm sure they'll bring a lot of more like animal specific elements to it than Zootopia, the movie itself.
Yeah.
Next on our list, we have the Mission Tortilla Factory. So a walkthrough where you see and learn about how tortillas are produced. Why are you making that face?
I just think it's so funny that this existed.
Why? Because it's like Chevy's. That's why I think it's funny.
I've never been to a Chevy's,
Is that?
but
Oh, okay.
um I mean, if anything, it reminds me of like Krispy Kreme. I don't know. It's just funny that
Reminds me of Krispy Kreme. Okay, but so like in that same with that same idea, right? So they had to buy this machine, this tortilla making machine for this attraction. So does Disney still own this machine and do they make their own tortillas with it? Or did they get rid of it? Or do they still own this machine and they're not making tortillas with it? Because they went through the trouble of having it, even if you're not going to have it on display. I just think this is a missed opportunity to have some Disney tortillas.
interesting.
You're like, you're lame. Uh, I just think it's a missed opportunity. I will stand on that.
Okay.
But this was located where Ghirardelli now stands. And then we come to Soarin' Over California, which we can thankfully still enjoy about once a year during Food and Wine, so the springtime.
Yeah,
Are you of the opinion that Soarin' Over California is better than Soarin' Over the World?
I am.
Okay, fair enough.
Are you?
I don't really have a lot of feelings either way. I kind of like them both for different reasons. Or I shouldn't say I do like them both for different reasons. So I think that having both as an option at different points of the year is really fun.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Both have smells I really like. So I like the opportunity to have both smells
I agree.
and have the opportunity to not have to close my eyes at the Paris part. All right. And then to finish up the Golden State, we have another attraction that is still available, which is the Boudin Bakery. So, this you can still visit. You get a little piece of bread to start off with, and you can walk right on through, see the bread being made and processed, and pop out the other end where you can get yourself a bread bowl or a bread loaf.
hmm I have
Who doesn't
not
like?
done the bakery tour since they've created San Francisco.
Me either. I can't imagine how much it's changed.
Yeah, me either. But
Mm.
I want to take someone through that's never done it.
Yeah, that would be cute.
That'd be fun.
Do you want to lead us onto Paradise Pier?
Oh yeah. Okay. So moving on over to Paradise Pier. I feel quite nostalgic talking about this. I really miss Paradise Pier. If I had to choose, I would definitely pick it over Pixar Pier. Even though I love Pixar Pier and I think it's really cute. I really love the classic old time boardwalk experience. I grew up going to Santa Cruz and it really made me feel like I had a little piece of home being there. So I do miss it a lot, but the vibe hasn't really overall changed too much. It's still a boardwalk theme. There's just a
Yeah,
lot of Pixar characters.
it's like definitely refreshed, like
Yeah.
brightened more than your typical pier.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely brighter, which is something that I like. I like all of the lights.
Hmm.
Big popcorn light fan. So, starting off with something that has been rethemed but hasn't really changed at all. They had California Screamin', and that is what we know of today as in Credicoaster. I notoriously still call it Screamin' whenever we're talking about what ride we want to do next. If I want to do Incredicoaster, I'm calling it Screamin'. And Megan will just kind of look at me and be like, "You mean Incredicoaster?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that one."
Okay, but I think I have the unpopular opinion, but that's because I didn't ride Screamin'.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Part of the incentive of me going on Screamin' or the Incredicoaster is it being Incredibles. I wanted to see Jack Jack. That was my whole pool, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy because I didn't grow up enjoying The Incredibles. I like it more now as an adult, but I didn't like it as a kid at all. So I was quite bummed actually when they changed the theme. But now that I enjoy it more, I like it. And next we have Games of the Boardwalk, which is still the same vibe, same idea. They were just more traditional-esque games versus the Pixar themed ones that we have now. We then have the Golden Zephyr. And Megan, do you know why the Golden Zephyr goes down so frequently?
Something to do with the wind conditions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So because of I don't really know the correct terminology for it, but like the band pulleys, if the wind is over like something like 10 miles per hour, they can't because if the band pulley things, if they get damaged, they're like impossible to replace because we get them imported from like England or something. And I don't think that the company that makes them anymore or that used to make them is like even around anymore.
Yeah. Well, I would think, like, why would they keep making something that was so sensitive anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like them using it, like whatever, that was their choice at the time and they want to maintain that. But the company making them was probably like, wow, people are, this isn't very profitable. These keep breaking if people don't use them underneath the correct circumstances. And
Yeah.
that's totally, I didn't know any of I didn't know that was the specific reason why. So that's really interesting.
That's something I learned a long time ago, so anyone can feel free to fact check me on that. But the Golden Zephyr, you're in like a spaceship looking thing, and you get really beautiful views of California Adventure and of, I want to call it the lagoon. I don't think that's the correct terminology for the water there. Do you know what it's called?
Is it Paradise Bay? I think they call it the Bay.
Okay.
I was like, I have the map pulled up. Let me look. It's called Paradise Bay.
Okay, perfect. You got it. So you get beautiful views of that and you get a nice breeze through your hair. I love going on it. And then they also opened with Jumpin' Jellyfish, which is a cute little suspension ride where you bounce and you go up and down, and it's really for smaller children. But I've gone on it before. It's cute, it's fun. And then we had King Triton's Carousel. This closed in 2018. Did you
I
know
have
that?
no recollection of this.
Me either.
I have absolutely no memory. I literally thought the Maliboomer, which you'll talk about, I'm sure, in a minute, I literally thought the Maliboomer was where this carousel is. In my mind, that's where it was. So I was super confused to find out it's where Emotional Whirlwind is now. And I know that's my brain being
The
dumb,
Maliboomer?
the Maliboomer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this carousel, I literally thought Jesse's carousel, which is there now, was the first carousel in DCA.
I thought it was too. Yeah, I don't know. I have absolutely zero memory of
Zero
this
memory.
carousel. And the fact that it was closed in 2018,
Oh
like
yeah,
how do we
no.
not remember this?
We were full-blown adults and
Yeah.
we have no memory of it.
Does anyone else remember this carousel? Does anyone have memories of this carousel?
I find it hard to believe it was 2018, but I mean, I super trust your facts. I that is just so wild that neither of us, this is like a weird Mandela effect thing.
Yes. I was thinking that.
How do I have
Yeah.
absolutely no memory of it? And I am a carousel lover. Like my grandma had a carousel horse in her house and I was like, I need that.
And then, of course, we do have the Maliboomer, which, like Megan said, was where Emotional Whirlwind is now. It would shoot you 180 feet in 4 seconds and bounce. They also had plexiglass right in front of your face. And a lot of people thought that it was a vomit shield because you were getting shot up so high, so fast.
That would make sense.
But it was actually a sound shield to try to block out or muffle the screams from the neighborhoods in Anaheim that
Mhm.
are like right in that surrounding area, which I find to be interesting considering the Hollywood Tower of Terror's goal was to shout screams all over the park. However, there's less residential areas right next to the Tower of Terror area, but
Yeah,
still.
that's on like the business side of the park.
Yeah.
Probably how they had it, or how they have it. There's still a ride there. Like Oriented has something to do that like blocks the sound also.
Yeah. Then they had the Orange Stinger, which I also never went on. And as a child, I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know it was an orange, but I always thought it had to do with James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, that would make sense. That's super cute.
I always thought it was a James and the Giant Peach attraction. Had no idea what like was on the inside of it. I didn't know until I did this research, but it was swings. So it was essentially our silly symphony swings, but it was surrounded by an orange peel because California and oranges.
You know, California and oranges, hand in hand.
Did you ever go on it when it was the orange stinger?
Probably, um, another thing. I didn't go on a lot of rides as a kid, but swings I definitely went on. I honestly couldn't tell you if I've been on the Silly Symphony swings, but I'm pretty sure I went on the Orange. But I've never been on the other flat rides in that area. So Jumpin' Jellyfish, Golden Zephyr.
You've still never been on Golden Zephyr?
No, I don't know why.
Oh my
Probably
goodness,
because it's down half the time.
it is. But now you know why.
Yeah. I should say at least I don't have any memory of it. I guess I could have, but
Next, we had the SS Runworthy. Do you know what this is?
no. What is that?
This was an outdoor play area themed as a rundown fireboat.
What? Wait, what?
Like it was like a play structure, like how like Donald's boat is, except for this was like a fireboat.
Where is it?
It was next to where Silly Symphony Swings is now, and it closed in 2010.
Okay. I don't I
Where?
what?
What?
I don't okay, sorry. I have the map pulled up, so I'm like, let me see this. So I was picturing like where that it's now like kind of just like a nice little photo op area, but there's kind of like that you can't go onto the shore, but you can kind of look out over the shore like when you're kind of like under or like right next to the Silly Symphony swings.
Hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
So I was thinking I'm like, "Oh, maybe it was there and like they've just like brought the shoreline like back more now, so now it's like a place that people can stand on." But no, it's like in the walkway, it looks like. Like where the sunglass hut area is now.
Yeah,
That's so strange. So there must have not have been really any dining in that area like we think of it. That's what I think of that whole like area as for the most part now is
that
the back
corner.
corner.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
And then lastly, we have the Sun Wheel, which then was changed to Mickey's Fun Wheel, and now it is Pixar Pal Around. I still call it the Mickey Wheel of Death.
Honestly, it's easier to remember.
Yeah, so this was the park's icon when it first opened. I would say it's probably still is considered the icon of the park.
Probably
And
more so now than even then.
yeah, it had the sun that was Sisters of the Sun that was at the entrance that Megan talks about in the beginning of the episode. I don't know why they felt like they needed to have so many suns. There's sunny
Like
California, but
we're out here baking in it. It's okay. We understand that there's a sun in the sky.
wild. So that's everything I have for Paradise Pier. Oh, there is a few other just little facts I wanted to mention.
Oh, fun. I have a few also.
Okay, because I know that I told you these, but I don't think I
Oh,
mentioned it at any point in the episode.
okay.
So, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of this information I got from the news video that I found on YouTube. So I will definitely link that. But they were advertising for the Grand Californian Hotel, and in 2001 prices to stay at the Grand for a one night stay were $200 to $250, which I feel like even for back then was not incredibly expensive.
Yeah, the economy looked much, much different in 2001 than it did. I mean, even than it would 5 years from then. It would
Yeah,
be
that's
a
true.
little crazy.
That's very true. Okay, so another fact that was kind of in that same vein is the host was saying that the parks were a little expensive to eat at, and that a family of four for lunch is going to cost you about $40.
Oh, that's a steep price. Wouldn't we love to have a meal for two for $40 at times?
Yeah, definitely. So I am just realizing that I missed a ride. What is it called?
Mulholland Madness.
So I don't even know what that word means.
Mulholland is a road in LA. So it's like, and there's a movie called Mulholland Drive. It's a pretty like infamous road, like known for it being like pretty windy and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That
And
makes
like I
sense.
yeah, because if you guys have been on Goofy Sky School or Mulholland Madness, it's a, what do they call it? A Crazy Mouse coaster, essentially.
Yeah.
So, you go over those. You don't go over the turns, but they sure make you feel like you're going to go over the turns.
Yes, it's a very jerky ride.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. But really, just to make it into Goofy Sky School, they rethemed it to Goofy running a sky school, whereas before they had like posters referencing LA and silly things.
Cool.
Did you have more facts? I'm sorry.
No.
No? Okay. So, on that note, I have a couple little fun facts, just a couple. And so, starting with Mulholland Madness, that ride was actually secondhand. So, Disney bought it from an existing park. It was an existing ride and installed it in DCA, probably as a cost saving measurement, as was apparent, I should say, with the opening of the park and the amount of attendance they received at the very beginning there.
Yeah.
My other fact was at the beginning of Screamin', now they have a dash counting down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like make sure that your head back and you're facing forward. I don't know what the whole script said before, probably something to the same effect, but it was Neil Patrick Harris telling you instead.
Yes, I meant to write that down, and I literally have voice by in my notes,
You
and
were
then
right
forgot to
there.
write it down. But yeah, that
Okay,
is super cool.
I'll finish your sandwich.
I love it.
And then, last but not least, and this is my little trivia question for you, but what was the only location in the park where you could see classic Disney characters upon opening?
In the animation building?
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah, so Disney Animation was the only speck of beloved Disney characters really in the park upon, opening day. Wasn't until later that more introduction of IP happened. Even the prizes on the pier weren't Disney themed necessarily.
That's so weird. 'Cause it's just the exact opposite of what they do now.
Exactly. Wholly the
Everything is
exact
IP now.
everything. And it seems like kind of you know, there's always a balance, right? Seems like we've kind of tipped over that balance a little bit, maybe not quite yet, because we do still have some un-IP things, a few, which is cool. But of course, more so than not.
Nothing that they create anymore is not IP.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing that's kind of sad is like we're not going to get many more like experiences, like Jungle Cruise. That's not tied to, I mean, Jungle Cruise got its own movie that was created after it, but Jungle Cruise on its own wasn't like an IP, and like neither is Space Mountain. Those are two such incredible attractions. We're not going to get anything. I don't think we're ever going to get anything like that again, where they're just creating something that's not based off of something else that they've owned or something else they've created, which is fine. I like having the characters on the rides. I love that really, but I do also appreciate the original ideas.
Yeah, I guess an argument could be made that the transformation of the treehouse from Tarzan to Adventureland is kind of the closest thing that we've gotten recently that wasn't directly based on an IP, even though it is still kind of based on the Swiss Family Robinson.
Mhm.
It can still, like, you don't need to know that. You don't need that background to understand what's going on.
That's totally true.
If there's anything that we missed or something that you thought we should have talked about or would like to hear more, let us know. And we can definitely dive deeper or make sure that that is covered.
Yes, and let us know what you guys are interested in seeing or hearing from us because we are always open to feedback.
And of course, like always, thank you so much for listening. We post new content every Saturday, so please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you listen so you never miss an episode.
And don't forget to review and rate us 5 stars. Share it with your friends and subscribe to at Magical Happy Hour Podcast on Instagram. Megan, where can we find you?
You can find me at Megan Creedon on Instagram, and there's also a link to my TikTok in my bio if you want to follow me there as well. Shy, what about you?
You can find me at Disney Obsessed Nurse on Instagram and on TikTok. And if you're interested in having a professional travel agent that specializes in Disney and Universal Studios, plan your next vacation, you can find the link to my website in our podcast notes or email me at Cheyenne, SHYANNE, at vincentvacations.com. And we'll see you guys next week.
Cheers!
Cheers!